Salutations everybody, it is Matty here today, and it is the end of an era for Xbox this month because the Xbox 360 digital storefront is going away. And over on the Xbox Wire, they just posted an update clarifying that there's a big sale going on right now. They're adding more games to said sale in about a week's time. And also, you can find in the link in the description down below, the link to that Wire post where there's a massive list of games that are all going to be discounted, that are all going to also be affected by this store closure. Now, when I fired up the 360 storefront to check things out, I was quickly reminded how far we have come with digital storefronts in the console space. Then I thought, well, you know what? There are a lot of people who are looking to make purchases last minute. They want to get those games in right now, make sure they don't lose anything. So I thought I would sit down and make a video recommending some stuff. Keep in mind that if you do buy anything digitally, that is still going to be available to you even after the stores close. It's been announced since last August, but if you didn't know, the storefront is going to close on July 29th, where then Xbox will start supporting the ability to purchase games, DLC, and other entertainment from the 360 storefront. You could also buy stuff digitally from the Xbox 360 marketplace. What I would recommend doing is making two tabs if you're going to do this digitally. Have the Xbox Wire post up on one tab where you're going through the list of the games and then hunting them down on the 360 storefront separately through the search function, because even just scrolling and trying to see what's on sale, it's not that great. Again, we've come a long way. I have a massive stack of games here next to me. I have another stack of games off camera that I'm going to go through in rapid fire fashion and just make some suggestions. Some of these are available only on Xbox 360. For those of you out there who still have your 360, still fired up from time to time like myself, that'll also be for you. But on top of that, a lot of these games are available in back compat, so you can play them on your Series X if you threw the disc in. And overall, I just want to make a bunch of suggestions. It gives me an opportunity to talk about some games I'm really passionate about. You may be sitting there thinking, well, Matty, this is kind of like a retro rebound video in spirit. Why don't you just post that over there? Well, we just put up a buying a 360 video in 2024 where we cover a lot of ground there, and if you're interested in buying the console and what games I'd recommend specifically for said console. But on top of that, Retro Rebound's upload schedule is like mega stacked right now, and things are pretty dry in July every year here on the Mr. Matty front, so I was like, let's just slide a little fun over here for a video. I'll also have that Retro Rebound video on the 360 link below if you want to check it out. All right, enough of that. Let's get into the suggestions. First one is Amped 3. As a kid, I used to call this Amped, which I always get a kick out of it. I still kind of say it in my head when I look at it. This is an Xbox exclusive snowboarding franchise. The first one came out on the original Xbox. I still love a little Amped in my life. This is not back compat because of licensing issues, but this is a good snowboarding game that if you want to have it on your 360, I do recommend picking it up. Blue Dragon, JRPG. It's got the Akira Toriyama art style. May he rest in peace. Fantastic game for its time. Is aged not as gracefully as another Mistwalker JRPG. This one is back compat on your Series X and S, so you can check it out over there. But if you're looking for a JRPG that rethinks how encounters work, this would be a pretty good pick in my opinion. But also, honestly, the 360 JRPG catalog, I predict a lot of these are going to go up in price. I use, for an example, always the PS3 and the Vita storefronts when they were about to close down and how quickly prices skyrocketed. Don't get caught flat-footed if you're interested in picking all these games up. I always say on Retro Rebound, it's best just to get ahead of the curve and pay for the games before one person raises the price, so someone else sees that and they go, well, wait, I'm going to lose out on money. So they raise the price, and it's effectively an artificial price hike, even though the products are readily available, but everyone's just competing in this retro space and no one's going to lose out on big money. But unfortunately, it's just extremely competitive in the retro gaming space when it comes to sales, and no one wants to lose out on money. So they're always 10 out of 10 times going to not do the thing, which is like, be fair and be honest. They're going to sell games for max value. So just get ahead while you can. Bully Scholarship Edition is another recommendation I wanted to make. For me personally, as a Rockstar Games fan, Bully is my favorite franchise they have made. Scholarship Edition is the best version you can own on the 360. That's because it comes with all the content, all the visual upgrades. It's all right here, runs the best, feels the best. On top of that, you can even see here on the back of the box, new missions, new classes, new characters, mini games, all that stuff, plus achievement support, which is always good to have. So yeah, Bully should absolutely be in your library if you can get your hands on it. Dragon Age is one I wanted to throw out here. This is just generally speaking for Dragon Age 2, Dragon Age Origins, even Inquisition, but more so the first two I'm talking about here. These are great in Xbox back compat, and I wanted to just throw that out there. They're available in Game Pass, so maybe you don't have to buy them, but the load times, they are completely eliminated, which is great. And also, on top of that, I have to say that my experience on PC, where I think some people think it would be better to play these games, they crash often. So I would say Xbox is the best place to play Dragon Age right now. So if you want to pick up some of the older Dragon Age games, I would say get them on Game Pass. Fable, of course, you got to check this box off. Fable is an incredible franchise, only available on the 360, Fable 1, 2, and 3. Fable 1 being my favorite, that's why I have Anniversary here. But remember to get your Fable. For those who like choice-based action RPGs, this is the place to be. But Fable 1, I think, goes the furthest with choice. Fable 2 goes more in that life sim direction. And Fable 3, I think, is still kind of charming. It's just not as good as the first two. But you definitely want to have Fable in your collection. Those are games that I don't think are going to skyrocket in value compared to others on this list here. I will say that the Fable games in general are available in back compat too. So there's that benefit there. Speaking of back compat, I gotta shout it out, Final Fantasy 13, the trilogy, 13-2 being one of my favorite Final Fantasy games ever. But honestly, this trilogy looks amazing on Xbox back compat. Final Fantasy 13, I know it gets a lot of slander out there. I'm a 13 defender, but I'll just say Final Fantasy 13 in back compat looks incredible, like a modern video game. Graphics aside, though, 13 can be I would say, acquired taste for some. I enjoy it. I think it's good, but I do understand its flaws. I do understand the problems with the narrative. 13-2, though, is like worth the headache. And even then, I've told people just skip 13 and play 13-2 because they spend a lot of that game trying to make sense of 13. And that's why retroactively I think it improves 13. But if you just skip 13 and play 13-2, you'll be fine. But these games are amazing on Series X and S. So if you're going to add these to your collection, I would highly recommend it be on your Xbox. Of course, we're checking items off a list here. Make sure you got Gears of War. Right now, we don't have a Gears of War collection. I don't think these games, with how popular they were, how often they were printed, are going to go up a ton in value. But make sure you have a little Gears of War in your life. Here's a little niche JRPG suggestion, Infinite Undiscovery. This is available in back compat, so if you buy this game, you can play it on your Series X and S. Now, keep in mind with this one, it's kind of like if Square Enix took on the Tales of series. It's more of an action RPG where the field battles happen in real time. I think it's really good. Story isn't anything to write home about, but I miss this era a lot, like these cheaper JRPGs made for the 360 because it was the dominant console during that generation. Kind of how like PlayStation got a ton of JRPGs during the PS4 generation. I mean, it's awesome to see a game like this exist. It hasn't really been ported or anything since, which is a little surprising, but I like the game a lot, and I do highly recommend you check it out. And in fact, for those of you who've been longtime Matty viewers, you'll know I timed out a video with the announcement that I was joining Defining Duke to start that show up with a video highlighting 3 underrated JRPGs on the 360, and that was one of them. Now, I've been on a bit of a LEGO game kick, so I gotta shout out LEGO Star Wars The Complete Saga for the 360. This isn't back compat. I know some people really like Skywalker Saga. I love that game too. Seeing all 9 episodes in LEGO form is fantastic. I just prefer the silent LEGO style games with the mumbling. I've enjoyed that a lot. I know Skywalker Saga has a mumble mode, but it's not quite the same as the comedic touch that the mumbles had in the older LEGO games. I've been on a massive LEGO game kick as of late, so I just want to shout out what I think is probably the best ever LEGO game, and I think it's best on 360. Speaking of earlier with that top 3 underrated JRPGs on 360 video I made, you have here Lost Odyssey, which I think may be the most overlooked JRPG ever. Hironobu Sakaguchi, creator of Final Fantasy, went on to make his own company, Mistwalker, and while people were complaining about Final Fantasy 13, he basically made Final Fantasy 13 with this team, and Lost Odyssey has aged gracefully, not just visually, but in turn-based combat, in character building, in narrative especially. I mean, this narrative brought me to tears at one point. Like, it is some really good stuff. If you are looking for a JRPG that is wonderful and back compat, that you've been overlooking for a while, that is absolutely worth the pit stop. It is a 4-disc game. I'll just keep that in mind, but you just throw in one disc to your Series X and that's it. If you play it on your 360, Godspeed. Now, continuing on here, we got some Lord of the Rings suggestions. This is actually exclusive to the 360, but you can find it on PC. Lord of the Rings, Battle for Middle-earth 2. And then there's also one that I don't see talked about enough, and I want to make a Retro Rebound video on this probably next month with Rings of Power Season 2 coming out. I might pull the trigger on some Lord of the Rings content. But we have here War in the North from Snowblind, who did a lot of action RPGs that I enjoyed growing up, that they pretty much carry that into the Lord of the Rings universe here, and it's pretty excellent. Whereas Battle for Middle-earth is more of an RTS style game, and I'll just say that neither of these are back compat to my knowledge, but when it comes to Battle for Middle-earth, this is more of, I would say, a collector's item, because when you play it, I'll just say that, you know, the frame rate's a little choppy, just to be generous, right? Next up, we have one that I'm hoping comes to Game Pass or arrives via back compat in some way, but if not, and you own a 360, I got to shout out Marvel Ultimate Alliance Special Edition. You've already noticed I don't have any platinum hits in my collection. I don't like how they look, messes up the borders on my shelves. We hate that. Platinum hit exception here, though, is this one, because it comes with the DLC on disc. So if you like Marvel Ultimate Alliance a lot, which is one of my favorite games ever, then yes, you probably want to make sure you get the Gold Edition, which is a lot pricier, especially on 360. It has everything on disc, so everything's been preserved. Here's a back compat suggestion for you, Max Payne 3. This game is amazing, and it's so funny when you look back at Rockstar. I can kind of understand why they went in the direction of safer with like GTA, Red Dead, just these big games taking years to make them, because when they were pumping out games like Max Payne 3, I loved this game. I mean, I really enjoyed Max Payne growing up, but I loved Max Payne 3. The bullet time, the multiplayer mode is criminally overlooked. No one talks about how great it was, but I grinded that thing. This was a special time for multiplayer gaming. Between this and Mass Effect 3 Horde mode, I was like, these things shouldn't work in multiplayer, but they do. But this is available in back compat. You can play it on your Series X, and it is excellent there. And the story's good. It's a nice kind of bite-sized game compared to what you play nowadays, where everything's like 20 hours long, 30 hours long, which is fine. But this is a nice under or around 10-hour experience, and it's some high-quality stuff. And the multiplayer is still active, and it's still really good. We also have another great back compat suggestion in Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance. Just platinum games at arguably their best. The soundtrack in this game slaps. For me, as a Metal Gear Solid 2 stan, that's my favorite Metal Gear game. I absolutely love Raiden, so to get him in his more action point of view and have some really cool weapon unlocks and cool modes, this game, I know a lot of meme culture has got to it where people take certain lines from the game. They're like, look how funny and joke-worthy this game is, but seriously, like, it's an awesome game. Like, it is really fun and action-packed. You should check it out, as you should check out most of Platinum Games' works. If you are a 360 owner, I've suggested these a million times before, but I'm going to do so again because many of you out there maybe don't watch Retro Rebound, but the Naruto games that are exclusive on the 360 are amazing. You have Rise of a Ninja and Broken Bond. Both of these are RPG experiences that were surviving only on the 360 while Ultimate Ninja Storm was taking off over on the PS3, and we know the rest were contracts happened, and so games like Clash of Ninja no longer exist. Games like these from, by the way, Ubisoft no longer exist, and you just have Ultimate Ninja now, which is a bit of a bummer, and I say that as someone who loves Ultimate Ninja, but these games are really good. You get to explore the Hidden Leaf Village. It's kind of open world. You get to build out your party. It has combat that's not just against roster characters, but like common ninja and that sort of stuff, so I think it's really good. You also have a game that really represents an entire company, but it's a Bethesda Game Studios title, right? I have Oblivion here, but it's just a reminder to pick up your games from Bethesda Game Studios on 360 because they come with some awesome stuff like you can see here in the map, including Shivering Isles, really good manuals, multiple discs with a DLC on it. These are best played on Xbox because, again, tremendously reduced load times, back compat support, FPS boost, all that good stuff makes it where the originals have been preserved well on Xbox. So you should definitely add games like Oblivion, Fallout 3, etc., to your collection. Next up, if you're looking to make a major splash in your collection, I bought this when it was significantly lower than the price it is now. Operation Darkness, only available on Xbox 360, not back compat, unfortunately. I would love for Atlas to re-release this game with some quality life enhancements because I think it would really redeem it. It's basically a Fire Emblem style game in that there's permadeath, but you also have to fight off during a World War II setting like zombies and skeletons and like the undead, and customize your crew as you go along, but it's really tough and unforgiving, and the camera's not that great. But I think with a little bit of love, a little extra polish, this would be one that I think Atlas would be wise to revive. But for now, if you're looking for a big 360 splash, that's an option for you. This next game here is one I'm hoping comes to Game Pass and is available somehow in back compat. But if not, you have Singularity here. And this is one of the most, I've been using the word overlooked a lot, but those are the types of games I like to shout out. I think there are obvious ones. Like I threw Gears in here, like quickly, yeah, go ahead, get your Gears if you haven't. But Singularity is a game that's overlooked. It's a first-person shooter, heavily inspired by BioShock, like same art design, but it also has story choices. There's multiple endings here. But yeah, if you like the mixture of first-person shooting and usage of powers, then you definitely want to check out Singularity. It comes from Raven Software, who I think has never made a bad game. When I look at their history, they've made games like Marvel Ultimate Alliance, X-Men Legends, X-Men Origins Wolverine. Like, they have made some really good stuff throughout the entire history of their company. Even when they worked on Call of Duty, they made Black Ops Cold War, which I thought was an amazing campaign. So they're always cooking, in my opinion. Got a decent amount left here, but almost done. Sonic games are best on Xbox as well, especially in back compat. So I have here Sonic Unleashed. I would shout out Generations, but we have yet to see how the new Generations re-release with Shadow is going to go. I only say it like that because I thought Colors Ultimate was going to be a slam dunk with the re-release, and it ended up being pretty broken. So we got to make sure Sega gives the Blue Blur his love. But I'm going to throw in Sonic Unleashed here. It's not my favorite Sonic game, but these games run way better. There are parts that infamously have frame dips here on the 360 that if you play them on your Series X, they're completely gone. Unleashed was a big culprit. Sonic Generations had that one part where you're racing down the side of the building, and that now runs completely smooth. Like, FPS Boost saved these games, and they're amazing on Xbox. So if you like Sonic, definitely make sure to get those games on the 360. We also have here Spec Ops The Line. This one has been delisted. You could also get this on PS3. It's up to you. Like, do you want achievements or trophies, whatever. But I wanted to make sure I shouted this one out while we're pointing out games from this generation. Unfortunately, got delisted. This is one of the most hard-hitting campaigns that you can experience. It starts off as what you think is probably like a dude bro third-person shooter. I'll always remember just picking this up on a whim at GameStop used and planning to return it that week, because when you bought things and still buy things used at GameStop, you can return it like a week later and say like, oh, it didn't work or whatever, which I completely abused that part of the system to play many games. But when I fired this thing up for 2 hours and immediately the story goes left and there's a major choice, I was blown away. I could not believe where this story went. I will just warn everyone, this is a game that's been known to trigger people in the past with particular experiences. So just make sure you do a little research before diving in. This one's a fun one. Triple pack here of Trials HD, Limbo, and Splosion Man. Both of these, Trials HD and Limbo, are available nowadays, but Splosion Man really isn't going to be super available. This is just a cool way to preserve some Xbox arcade classics that came out in their own physical trio collection. I thought it was really cool. You'll see here just one disc. It also comes with these points and Xbox Live Gold Trial here, which I think is cool as a part of the complete in-box experience. But yeah, these are games that you may want to add to your collection if you're just a big naysayer against digital downloads, which I completely understand and respect, and you don't want to take any chances. These are some games from the Xbox 360 arcade that you can preserve physically in your collection. I gotta shout this one out. Toy Story 3. There are so many versions of Toy Story 3. I've almost collected them all. I just need the PSP version. This has Toy Box mode, and it is the best thing ever. And actually, I just started playing a little bit of Disney Infinity, and I gotta say, it feels like a whole world's unlocked for me there. But if you like Disney Infinity, you're gonna love Toy Story 3. I mean, the base game is fine on its own. Like, just playing through the story based on the movie is really good stuff. It works fine, it's enjoyable, but it's really the Toy Box mode that Avalanche went unnecessarily hard with. That's only available in the 360 and PS3 versions. I did a whole presentation over at Last Stand Media on why it's one of the best games ever, and I say that with a little bit of irony because, like, of course it's a tie-in game, but it really is like the best tie-in game. It is so unnecessarily good. We have 2 suggestions left. Next up here is The Witcher 2 Assassin of Kings. This is back compat from what I've learned recently, but you can only play this on PC or Xbox. Never got a PS3 re-release, so probably good to have in your 360 collection. Right here, I do have what is looking like a complete box experience, but if you're looking for a little extra detail here, this is supposed to come with the soundtrack. The guy told me when he was selling it to me, I was like, don't worry about it. I think soundtracks are kind of like pointless to collect because at the end of the day, like, these are things that I never use. They just stay sealed. So yeah, Witcher 2, I think you should add to your collection, especially if you played Witcher 3. Like, I do like The Witcher 3 a ton, but there's almost a part of me that genuinely likes Witcher 2 more. I think part of it's nostalgia. I remember when I first got my gaming PC, it was the first Steam sale, and I just bought this game randomly, and I remember absolutely loving it. So Witcher 2 is still excellent, but I will just say that if you like The Witcher 3, of course, I think you check out The Witcher 2. It's just not as open world, which I think is kind of to the game's benefit in a lot of ways. And then last suggestion here, this kind of goes in the same pocket as the Toy Story game, where it's in particular the 360 and PS3 versions you want to get if you want to experience what I'm talking about here. X-Men Origins Wolverine Uncaged Edition. We are actually working on a video on this over on Retro Rebound, but I have no problem in spoiling that I think this game is absolutely gasoline, and you should 100% check it out if you like tie-in games that go unnecessarily hard. Why is this game special? Well, I grew up on like X2 Wolverine's Revenge on the PS2. That game is awesome, but that game partially is awesome to me because it actually used blood when you used your claws. I felt a lot of games shied away from that. This game does the opposite. They like sprint in that direction. They absolutely go bananas with the blood and the gore. Like, I'm talking sticking a dude's head up in a helicopter blade type gory. Like, this game is insane. So please check it out if you have yet to. I bought it for 25 bucks. I'm not sure if it's gone up in price since then or down in price since then, but those are all of my suggestions if you're looking to make any sort of pickups here at the end of an era for the 360. I wouldn't freak out too much because, again, these things are going to be available if you buy them digitally, still on your Xbox for you to play, but I know for a fact that retro shops take advantage of this, and this is where the prices go up. So if you're looking to do a bit of a shopping spree, first off, apologies in advance. I know these videos can kind of trigger people to want to go and spend some money that maybe they don't have. So apologies in advance. Make some wise decisions here. You don't have to buy everything under the sun, but make sure you get the things that, based on what I've told you and based on what other videos will tell you, that you think are going to go up in value. You want to definitely get ahead of that because eventually games become way too expensive. And I say that as someone who does a lot of collecting. Like, my favorite Pokemon game is Pokemon Emerald. One day I want to have that complete in box, but like right now it's close to $1,000. It's like, no, sorry. Like, I got a mortgage to pay. Like, I'm good, man. So yeah, those are my suggestions. I'm looking forward to hearing yours down below. Please fire away with that. Take excellent care of yourselves, and I'll catch you in the next video. Stay sexy, stay active. I love you all. Peace.